Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Narada Bhakti Sutras. The Narada Bhakti Sutras are attributed to the sage Narada, detailing the path of selfless love and devotion, bhakti, to Bhagavan. It is comprised of 84 sutras. The text outlines bhakti as the highest, easiest, and most blissful path to liberation, emphasizing constant remembrance, service, and detachment from worldly craving. Gauni tridha gunabhedat artadi bhedadva. Gauni bhedat arta adi bhedat va. Gauni or secondary devotion is of three kinds, categorized either by the predominance of the three material qualities or gunas, or by the initial motivation that brings a person to bhakti. In the previous verses, Narada Muni described the highest unconditional form of love or parabhakti. Here, he acknowledges that beginners cannot start at that supreme level, so he classifies the entry-level steps. Devotion is influenced by the practitioner's mental state. Tamasic bhakti, practiced out of anger, pride, or a desire to harm others. Rajasic bhakti, practiced to gain personal fame, power, material wealth, or luxury. Sattvic bhakti, practiced for self-purification, to wash away sins, or out of a sense of duty. This aligns with the Bhagavad Gita, Shloka number 16 from the 7th chapter, where seekers are categorized by why they seek Bhagavan. Artha, which is the distressed soul seeking relief from misery. Artharthi, the seeker of material gains or security. Jignasu, the curious seeker hungry for spiritual knowledge. Uttarasmad Purva Shrayaya Bhavati. Uttarasmad Purva Shreyaya Bhavati. Each preceding stage or type of devotion is better and more auspicious than the succeeding one. This sutra ranks the categories introduced in Sutra number 56. In spiritual progression, the earlier mentioned states are superior to the latter ones because they are closer to pure, unselfish love. Jignasu, the seeker of knowledge, is superior to Artharthi, the seeker of wealth, who is superior to Artha, the distressed person who only calls God during a crisis. Sattvic bhakti, pure, duty-bound, peaceful, is superior to Rajasic bhakti, driven by passion, ego, and desires, which is superior to Tamasic bhakti, driven by ignorance, anger, or malice. While all forms of turning to the divine are acknowledged, Narada Muni urges the practitioner to constantly purify their intent. The goal is to move from selfish, fear-based devotion up to selfless, pure love or parabhakti. Anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau. Anyasmat saulabhyam bhaktau. Narada Muni specifically stated that the path of devotion or bhakti is the easiest and most accessible route to God realization compared to all other spiritual paths. Why bhakti is easier or saulabhyam? Narada Muni explained that other paths require rigorous external conditions or strict intellectual faculties. Jnana Yoga, which is path of knowledge, requires a sharp intellect, intense scriptural study, and sharp discrimination. Karma Yoga, path of action, requires flawless, selfless execution of Vedic rituals without personal attachment. Raja Yoga, path of meditation, demands strict breath control, physical postures, and absolute mental silence. In contrast, Narada Muni says bhakti only requires the heart. It does not depend on your social status, wealth, gender, or scholarship. Anyone who can feel love can practice bhakti. Sage Narada emphasized that while other paths rely heavily on self-effort and willpower, bhakti operates through divine grace. When a devotee surrenders with humility, the divine removes worldly attachments and grants spiritual wisdom automatically, making the final transformation completely effortless. Pramanantarasyanapekṣatvat svayam pramanatvat cha. Pramana antarasya anapekṣatvat svayam pramanatvat cha. Because bhakti does not depend on any other authority or proof for its validity, it is its own proof. Sage Narada argues that while logical deduction, anumana, or physical sensory evidence, pratyaksha, can fail or require external correction, divine love requires no third-party verification. Much like you do not need a candle to see the sun or a textbook to prove you are experiencing joy, bhakti is self-evident and self-validating. The moment love of God awakens in the heart, the peace and inner transformation experienced by the devotee serve as the ultimate, absolute proof of its reality. Shanti Rupat Paramananda Rupat cha. Shanti Rupat Param Ananda Rupat cha. Because bhakti is of the nature of supreme peace and absolute bliss. Sage Narada concludes this section by explaining these experimental symptoms of true devotion. Unlike worldly desires that cause anxiety, greed, and restlessness, bhakti brings instant psychological and spiritual relief. Shanta Rupa, here the devotee's mind becomes perfectly still, quiet, and free from the turbulence of material worries. Paramananda Rupa, it grants a deep, ecstatic joy that does not depend on external circumstances, possessions, or people. Because bhakti naturally yields peace and bliss, it requires no external effort to maintain. The reward is built directly into the practice.